So now that we've talked a little bit about how we would plot and graph polar coordinates, the next thing we are going to start talking about is transferring kind of between forms, either polar to rectangular, so x comma y to r comma theta, and vice versa. So today we're going to focus on going from polars back to rectangular x comma y. Now, example A basically kind of goes through this process for us. And going back to what we've talked about a lot this year already is the fact that if we draw in a right triangle onto our graph, so there's our right angle, and we have r and we have theta given to us. So r is 40, theta is 30. Basically, in order to find x and y again, we need to use SOHCAHTOA, aka cosine to help us find x, sine to help us find y. So each time the process is going to be the same because we're constantly looking for either the adjacent side with cosine or the opposite side with sine. We're given that hypotenuse and the angle measure. We're always solving for the variable that's in the numerator, aka multiplying each time by that hypotenuse. So this is where the formulas come into play. You basically can solve each time for x and y using r cosine theta, and for y, r sine theta, just like you see here in example A. Now to practice this, again, if we look, they have some examples on the next page. For instance, if we look at example C, to convert from r and theta back to x and y, again, all we are going to do is plug into the formula our r value, and then cosine theta, and then same thing, r value, sine theta. Now, ideally, we would like to use exact values because the problem is if we use the calculator, 10 cosine negative 30, reminder to be in degrees mode, notice we're going to get an answer that is only an approximation. That's because we have that 10 times square root of 3 over 2. So the exact answer would be 5 square root 3, which we can always double check here, like so, and they match. And then 10 sine of negative 30, to get the y value, we end up with negative 5. So ideally, we always want to write these in exact answers if possible, but a lot of times approximations are fine as well. So x comma y. You'll notice, for example, with example E, we're going to have a decimal approximation because 128 degrees is not a value from our unit circle that we're able to use. One last thing, we can use our calculator as well to help us convert beyond plugging in and solving using x equals r cosine and y equals r sine. Number 7 kind of step-by-step lays out for us that if you go on your graphing calculator and you hit second apps, it's going to bring you to the angle menu, and then options 7 and 8 are going to convert for us these values. So option 7 is going to allow us to convert for the x value. We would type in 10 comma negative 30 for r and theta, hit enter, and again you see we get that x value. We could do the same thing for y. You would choose option 8, r comma theta, to get your y value. Again, you can only have decimal approximations though, so that's the drawback.